This presentation is about the Antioch College Pocket Neighborhood, which is really is an outgrowth of the Antioch College Village that we shared with the Antioch community a couple of years ago, and it sort of reached a point where it didn't really progress much further, and so then the thought process was to maybe we'll break away from that and focus on a smaller version of the original vision, and we retain the services of Jason McClellan and Associates, architects from Seattle. They came to town here several weeks ago, made a presentation in the Coretta Scott King Center. We had like 65 people. It was really an amazing evening, very exciting. I won't go into the detail because I want to introduce to you the real people that are making this happen. I just happen to be along for the ride, and I'm sort of the liaison person between the team and the Board of Trustees. So, oh yeah, my name is Walter Van Matheson. Thank you for reminding me. I just forget. Anyway, so on my right is Monica Hassick. Some of you may know she is the director of the Wellness Center, but she's also the project manager for the Antioch College Pocket Neighborhood. And to her right is Kevin Magruder, Dr. Kevin Magruder, professor of history at Antioch College, and he is the sort of technical guru that has all of the inside information in terms of how we've got to make this a reality. So I'm going to turn it over to them.
Thank you, Malta. Welcome, everybody. I'll just give a little bit of background quickly. So yes, many of you know me as the Wellness Center Director. And as you know, being an Antiochian, you have to wear many hats. Especially right now when we're trying to do a lot of cool things here. So I'm also wearing the hat as project manager. I come from a background of interior design. That's my trained profession, as well as project management. So I was happy to be able to jump in and offer my skills to this project over the last year. And then I'll just let Kevin tell a little bit of his background as well.
Before I moved into academia, I worked in nonprofit community development for over 25 years. I have an MBA in real estate finance from Columbia and worked at Local Initiative Support Corporation, which is a foundation that makes loans and grants to nonprofit organizations. I was a program officer there for 6 years. Was director of community development, director of real estate development at the Abyssinian Development Corporation in Harlem, and worked in other capacities in terms of housing development. And so even my research, so my book that came out 3 years ago is called Race and Real Estate, and the reason why, basically I used the documents that I learned about during my previous career to apply to historical study in Harlem. And so this project is really, we're kind of drawing on a range of skills in terms of this.
Okay, so we'll get right to it. This is a really cool video that Jason we saw it at the presentation. So those of you who were here, I know Jan Marie was here. We have Pat and Roger, saw this video, but it's a really amazing kind of flyover of the concept for this. So I was able to get a hold of this last night, and I'm not sure if the sound will work. Fingers crossed here. Should we adjust lights or
video promotion visualization.
Yeah. One moment. All right. I'm sorry. Hold on. Technical difficulty.
Go away.
that location is just almost right across the street here, diagonally across the street on East North College and Livermore Streets. Okay, so we'll move right into giving you
Have a
just
little more sound.
a little more sound.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move right into, Kevin is going to give us an overview of the bigger project and how we got to where we are now.
Malta mentioned that about 3 years ago, Jason McLennan was brought in, and there was a week-long design session that was used to figure out what kind of housing might there be an interest in building on land adjacent to Antioch College. And out of that, there was a group that came together and looked at the concept of co-housing, which is popular in some parts of Europe and some parts of the United States, where people have smaller individual units and then they have a common house. And Jason continued refining that concept and came up with a plan that you see before you. This is a site plan for the land that basically is adjacent to the Coretta Scott King Center and to the West Dorm. It's really in what we would call infill. It's filling in the land there, and it would be 34 units, a mix of cottages, townhouses, and apartments with a common building where, because people have smaller units, if they did a big event, if they had a big dinner, a family reunion, they could have that in the common house. As we began, Monica and I came into this probably a little over a year ago. And at that point, the initial group that had been involved with the week-long planning session was meeting and really wanting to know what this was going to cost, which is the key for any of us when we're thinking about this would be for sale housing, most likely condominiums, this development. And to get to that point, you need a design, and basically you need, this is a schematic, but you need a design. Doing that for 34 units is a big jump. And one of the members of that group, Pat Brown, has suggested we build one house as a model house. We talked with the architect, Jason McLennan, about that, and he really said that, well, if we're gonna do one, we might as well do a few cottages. And we looked at land that it would be on the bottom of this across Center College Street there, or North College Street.
Up at the top.
Up there at the top, rather.
That's where you folks that,
Right.
or Antiochans, remember, that's where Day House used to be.
No, this is President. Isn't this the President's life? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the other land.
Way up at the top.
Right, at the top, but the fact that it used to be there means it's vacant now. And so he looked at what would be the most cottages that we could fit on that. Yellow Springs has recently changed its zoning to encourage denser development, and they have something called a pocket neighborhood development under their zoning, which is pretty straightforward to do. And so the video you saw was the concept that he came up with. In looking at where he is in the process now is he has a schematic for that, which we're going to go through, and now he's working on the actual construction drawings for the individual units. And so we're going to take a few minutes and walk through the schematics for the cottages, and you'll get a sense of that.
I'll orient you on the map. Let's squeeze the map. Okay, so you can see right here is Coretta Scott King Center and the Case Apartments. And then so up in the top right corner is where we're talking about the property. And then if you take this right here, these are cottages. So essentially we took this little block right here and moved it across the street to have 8 cottages. So you'll start to see that. Yeah.
So on this map is south, what happened to Center College Street?
That's
Is that
Miss
South
Mark,
College Street?
that should be Center College at the bottom.
This-
Okay.
yeah.
That's
Okay.
You took it away.
Good catch.
that's what threw me off.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay,
And so this is the this is the schematic for the 8 cottages.
Okay, so you've got a really great idea with that flyover shot. And this is, this concept package that we're going to show you now, we also have it available for you to take with you if you want to learn more. So we'll go back to that first. Okay. Let's see. All right, so here's another schematic of the cottages. Now you can see how we just literally took that idea from across the street now and are implementing it over. And as Kevin mentioned, Pocket Neighborhood is new in Yellow Springs. It's a new zoning. It just happened about a year ago. So right now we're slated to be the very first Pocket Neighborhood in the village. So that's pretty exciting.
I'm a retired city planner. What's the density of this pocket zoning neighborhood?
That is a good question. So
Zoning density?
yeah. It's 1 acre, and then you can have up to 13 units.
13 units per acre?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, the next one. Alrighty. This is just an interior shot here. So this is walking through the front door, and you can get a shot of the dining room. You can see it's a real open plan, real tall ceilings, lots of natural light. That was the intention. The focus here on the project too is sustainability, and as we mentioned, Jason McLennan, is one of the leaders in sustainable design in the country right now. So we're really fortunate to have him on the project. So the homes are all built with 12-inch walls, so similar to a passive solar home. They won't be completely passive solar, but they will have those elements. Yeah, Sherry.
I'm hoping they're wheelchair accessible.
Yes. Yeah. So the only thing that'll need to be modified would be like a ramp in the front, but the interior is all ADA accessible.
And the door is wide enough?
Yes.
And there's no way to walk down the steps, there's no railing or anything?
No, but they can be retrofitted with the ramp and the railing in the front, and we'll show you that when we get to the plan view. So this is the actual piece of property. You have, let's see, on the street on the right here, that's Livermore, and then this one here is East North College. So we have this little block of land here. It says future college facility. We don't know exactly what that's going to be, but we're reserving that for potential college use. And then you can see these cottages, how they were similar to the original concept. And they're all oriented around a central courtyard. And so the standalones, those are 2 bedrooms, and the attached are 1 bedroom. We're going to preserve as many trees as possible so you can see all around the perimeter. There's quite a few trees. The other thing I want to point out that's unique about this is that everyone doesn't have their own driveway and their own garage. There's one driveway here with all the parking spaces together. And then you can see the little trails that people will walk to access their homes. So this is kind of a radical concept, for America, especially Ohio. Yeah?
So if there are no garages, where is the space to put things outside your house?
Good
Wiring.
question.
Every garage is filled
Yeah.
with stuff that
Yeah.
can accumulate.
Yeah, so this really is a,
Where is
this
your
is a
accumulation here?
this is a lifestyle shift. These are small homes, very small footprint. When we get into the plan, you'll actually see how small.
How many square feet?
We'll get there, hang on. And then there's a small storage shed out the back, and we'll get to that too.
How many square feet?
Of the storage shed?
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess about 20.
Very
Okay, we'll get to that. Yeah.
Does this plan right now eliminate the building that is currently west? Would that be?
No,
It is
it's different
still
property.
embedded in that.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Let's see, now this is the 2-bedroom. Can we get that a little bigger so we can see here? I'll orient you. So this is, as you walk in, this is the front porch, walk in the front door, kitchen, dining, built-in window bench here. And then we've got the bedroom bump out. So you can see there's not a lot of storage. Like I said, this is a shift. This is called downsizing, getting rid of the clutter, the junk. There's really not gonna be a lot of Costco shopping here. This is the kitchen, it's a galley kitchen. and there's not gonna be your covered, conditioned garage to drive into to deliver all your Costco goods, okay? Here's the turning radius, the ADA we talked about in the bathroom. So yes, all the doorways are 36 inches, and we have the turning radius here and an accessible shower. Laundry room. Here's our outdoor storage. right there. See that off the back porch, the gentleman in the back? Outdoor storage, there you go. So you can't have much stuff. Bedroom number 1. This is a big closet in bedroom number 2.
What's on the right there?
Yeah, so right there, the cellar hatch. There's an option to have a basement.
I don't know, maybe I walked in late, but I'm a little confused, because originally, when the college was thinking of selling off land around it or using it, the idea was to raise money for the endowment and whatever kind of housing, and it wasn't even clear then that they could even make any money that way. And I think with construction costs and the price point we got for those houses and the developer, what is the college, why is the college doing this, and what is it going to get out of it?
Sure, great question. Williams?
We're prepared
So
for
there'll
that.
be several revenue streams. The land will not be sold, the land will be kept by the college, under the control of the college. There'll be a ground lease, so people will own their home, but the land will be leased to them. They'll make lease payments. At this point, we're estimating a monthly lease payment of $500 a month. So for the 8 cottages, that would generate a little under $5,000 a year in revenue to the college. Another possibility for revenue will be, we're now exploring the possibility of having a resale restriction, in that, if you follow Yellow Springs real estate, prices are going up and up. And this is really very attractive land, and so even though the people who don't own the land, the location is going to give value to those homes. And so when they resell, what we're exploring now is the possibility of having having the owners split the appreciation. So they would get 75% of the appreciated value, and we would get 25%. And that would provide probably fairly substantial revenue streams every time it sells. And so the ground lease payments would provide a modest stream of revenue, but the resale appreciation would provide fairly substantial streams, assuming that prices continue to go up.
Which is the opposite.
Right, it would be and then also a modest profit on the sale. So the architect now is developing construction drawings. Once those are done, they'll be put out to bid. We'll be able to have a firm price. The college will determine what's realistic in terms of its profit on the sale, and so that it will be modest, because that's not the point of this. We're not trying to make money on the sale, but there's basically our time and the time of the college. So there's something that would be there. Yeah, Jim.
Okay, this is a variation on what is often called the community land trust model. And when you talk about the value appreciation, ironically, the value appreciation to be split in the future is the opposite of the goal of keeping housing more affordable over the long run, because if you don't sell, don't try to capture that increase in value due to location over time. You help 20 years from now, help keep housing available that's lower cost in the future.
Right.
So ironically, there's going to be a lot of the same pressures that exist now will be there in the future, and the college will have this ethical dilemma that if it wants to get revenue from it, it's going against the goal to keep the housing costs low for people who are trying to move in the next generational way.
But the
So
goal
that's a really
really,
good point. We need to clarify one thing, it's really important. This is not really, the focus of this is not about affordability. We have another organization here in town called Home Inc.
That both Kevin and myself are members of the board of Home Inc. And the entire focus of Home Inc. is really about affordability. This is more about ecological sustainability and the preservation, the new models of how you build homes that are ecologically consistent with that whole philosophy. So it's different. It's a different.
So you're
take.
consciously not trying to have the affordable.
Well,
model
we're
with the rest of
actually
your
carving out
organization.
one structure that is, we're working with Home Inc., and Kevin can explain the details, and we actually have an investor here in town who is willing to put money into this one structure in order to make it, as a charitable donation, to make it affordable, but I'll let
I'm just
Kevin.
trying to clarify what you're trying to do and what you're not trying to do.
Right.
And you're not trying to keep, okay, thank you.
Well, as alums, you definitely know that the college needs revenue. And so that's one of the, in addition to sustainable housing, we can't generate revenue if this is an affordable housing development. And so we have to be realistic as a college what we can do. If we did try to do that, but weren't able to sustain ourselves as a college, then that wouldn't help the people that are in the buildings. And so what Malta is saying, so there's one unit that we're looking at now of identifying subsidy money to bring that price down so that it would fit 80% in median, which is typically what the analysis for what is
Thank
going
you for
in.
the clarity and honesty.
Right, and then on the,
That's important.
at this point, we're also looking at possibly keeping that as a rental. Also on the bigger development, the 34-unit development that this is a pilot for, we're talking with Home Inc. about maybe carving out 6 units of those 34. You need a fair amount of lead time to assemble subsidies for affordable housing developments, and this, as a pilot, we're trying to move forward pretty quickly, and we don't really have that lead time, and because it's only 8 units, it probably wouldn't be practical to put that level of energy, but on the larger development, we will.
Who would you foresee buying this unit?
Okay, so here's the good news. We already have 7 out of the 8. We have deposits on 7 out of the 8.
Wow.
And today I just spoke with a woman who's ready to give the deposit on the 8th. And we have 2 of them here in the room, Roger and Pat Brown. You want to raise your hand? Yay! And they've been really involved in this project for quite a while and keeping it moving. Choose solar, potentially compostable toilets. So we will get clearer on that exact price once we get the construction documents complete and it goes out to bid. And that should happen, we should have the clarity on the price around mid-September. I know you had a question next.
Yeah, several things that were said lead me to this conclusion.
Can you use that, that's a microphone there?
Several things that were said lead me to this conclusion. If I were looking for a real estate investment, this would be terrific. And one of the reasons it would be terrific is there's no limit yet on the shared appreciation. I heard a figure mentioned that the college would get 25% and the owner would get 75% on future sales. That apparently has not been fixed in stone. And my question sort of to benefit the college, why isn't it the other way around? Why isn't it 25% for the homeowner and 75% for the college? If we assume there's going to be continued appreciation and home prices go up every 10 years on average in the United States significantly, why shouldn't it be that way? And the second question is, who's footing the bill to actually build these? That is, where's the money coming from for this construction project? There are obviously costs involved in doing something like this.
Great questions.
And if the answer is I get 75% of the appreciation 5 years down the road, I'll write you a $5,000 check today to buy one of these. But apparently this isn't determined. So that's my question, sort of.
I have
Actually,
many more, but I
that's
won't
three
bore
questions.
everybody.
Excellent question.
Okay, so let's give you, I'll answer question number 2. We, as Antioch College, we all know in the room that we do not have the resources alone to build this project. So we're looking for a developer, and that'll be in this next phase of the project. Once the construction documents are done, we will be approaching, we'll do a request for proposal to work with developers/contractors. So they'll bring the resources, the financial resources to the table for us.
So one of the thoughts I want to pass along here is that this entire project, we're trying to the best of our ability to make it cash negative to the college. So in that regard, Jason and Associates in order to prepare these construction drawings, it told us it's going to cost $50,000. So we said, okay, we got to go find the $50,000. So we went to the Yellow Springs Community Foundation, and we asked them if they would consider an impact investment of $50,000, which their board agreed to. And so that $50,000 has been essentially now in the Yellow Springs Federal Community Credit Union, and then we will get their proper authorizations in place so that we can draw out the funds to pay Jason and Associates for the construction drawing. So we're focusing as much as we can to make this cash neutral to the college, recognizing the college has its own priorities in terms of its financial obligations. And I do want to make a shout out to the Yellow Springs Community Foundation, because this has really become a community collaborative effort. It's not just about the college, it's about the resources that are in the community that are trying to help us make this real.
And then on the point about the split in terms of appreciation, some of that is based on our conversations with the co-housing group, the people who've been working on this for 3 years, that as we heard their concerns about the cost of purchase, a home is usually most people's main asset. And if they may be selling a home and moving into this, but they still would like to participate in that appreciation. And they may be dedicated to the college, but I think it would be a lot for them to forego the appreciation that they would typically get. And so it was really kind of a balancing that we feel that the value is going to increase in part because of the college, and we should be able to we can make an argument as why we would share in that, but we also appreciate the fact that they need to be able to participate as well. And so that's why the 25-75 split wasn't on the table, but it may change from what it is now. But I think it still needs to favor the owner if this is going to be attractive. This is a pilot, so what we do here is going to send a signal for the larger development, and we don't want to send a signal that this doesn't make economic sense for buyers. And so that's something that we really have to think about.
Move on.
Yeah.
We gotta move on.
Question?
How is this project structured such that if the entity, the college, were to go out of business as it did once, what would happen?
The college is not going out of business.
There are.
That's a real deal. As a trustee, I'm telling you, there's a lot of rumors out there. The college is not going out of business.
Okay, so what's the answer?
The Antioch College Development Corporation is an entity that will be the developer. There's also going to be a mini pilot LLC, and so those entities would remain even in the absence of the college. And yes.
So is there,
She had her hand up first.
back to his question, it seems to me a 50-50 split might make some sense, and I wonder how many of the people who would be buying in are people who are downsizing. They've already got their appreciation. Do they really need this appreciation? We're giving up valuable land.
It's a conversation. We're not giving. We own the land.
So that's where, and how many of the people who've got deposits in are maybe downsizing?
I mean, we can have that conversation with them. Yes. You in the back?
Yes, I finally took a bite. So what is the philosophy, or what are the parameters of people buying into this? Is it for Antioch alumni? Is there a philosophy that it to be multi-generational, or is it basically a senior community?
I think
All
that
of the above?
I think as it be right, all of the above.
Or is
There
it
are some
just
people.
open to any-
Right. The
anyone
larger
who
vision is a
might buy?
multi-generational community, intentional community. People who want to live in co-housing, who are interested in sustainable living, who don't want a 3,000 square foot house, which houses have gotten bigger and bigger over the last 50 years, and this is not that. And so it's really the mix of those things. First question, yeah.
Two questions. What are the projections for being able to recapture appreciation revenue as these units sell? I know a lot of times in town, real estate is very fixed. Those properties are not turning over. And second question. Yes.
Second question, what are actually the floor plans of the 8 initial units? Are they,
The floor plans? Oh,
Yeah.
that's what we were looking at.
everything is that 2-bedroom unit we said, they're
Oh,
One,
I can-
one and 2-bedroom
I can
units.
show you the one.
perfect, thank you. That's fine, my apologies, I misconstrued.
So this has a shared common wall, you see
Okay.
that, the shared common wall, that's actually 2 one-bedroom units.
That's fine. So then, my question is what are the projections for how often these properties would come up for resale, we would be receiving appreciation revenue?
I did an analysis that had them coming up about every 6 or 8 years with a 3% appreciation per year. And housing prices are going up faster than that in Yellow Springs. If you've driven through the streets, there are quite a few houses on the market now. And most don't stay on the market that long. And so I think that those projections are conservative.
How are these houses sited? You know, north, south?
Yes. We'll take us back to our first plan to give you a sense. Here we go. Okay. All right, so the square over to the right where that says Future College, that's east. And then we have west over here, right? So the front porches face the courtyard. Is that helpful?
Yes. And they're not completely covered, so you are letting light in.
Yes, and there's skylights as well.
You mentioned about intentional community. Could you talk more about that? Because that really interests me. And what you see that as an intentional community?
Sure, so the way that this little pocket neighborhood and this pilot of the project is intentional in that the houses are, all facing towards a central location. Everyone's close to each other, so when you're sitting on your porch, you're gonna see your neighbor, you're gonna invite them over for coffee. Also the aspect we spoke about the driveways and no garages, those are to the side. So in a lot of typical homes, we see those right, smack front up in center. And so just the layout alone encourages activity, connection. And then the larger piece, as we spoke about, the phase 2, which would include a common house that everybody has access to, so there could be collaborative dinners with the entire group. There's a group kitchen. So that's where this original idea of the co-housing, so we're taking a little spin-off so that we can actually get some, just a real tangible example of this here in town.
Would there also be perhaps collective labor distribution of some sort in terms of the whole, of contributing not just to their part, but the grounds and wherever else?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So the common grounds, those are shared, and so that level of detail is still to be determined when we draft up a homeowners association or condo association that designates the areas of common, which we envision that middle, which we're calling the plaza, being the shared space where people come together to gather. You saw in some of the photos where they come together to garden, or there might be a little fire pit there, and so there'll be some communal aspect to taking care of, or there's an agreement that there's an outside company that comes in and mows and removes snow and that sort of thing.
How much individualism will be allowed in modifying the house?
Not much, I would say, in the exterior, but the interior, as far as paint colors and the layouts are pretty fixed. There's not a lot of flexibility in that either. And there will be some basic choices when the homeowners choose. We talked about the different elements, but there will be some. We want to try to keep it simple, though. That also keeps costs down.
I I assume that storage inside is somewhat limited by the size. And I'm wondering, for people who have, say, bicycles and stuff like that, will there be outside storage available for people to keep things like their camping equipment, their bicycles?
Right. So I pointed out the closet. There's 2 large closets in the 2-bedroom, you can see that, and then you can see off the back patio, there's the outdoor storage, which is adequate for some gardening tools, possibly a bike. And then there's also the parking area that we've talked about potentially being covered, like a carport, and maybe that's a bike port as well. Yes, Mr. President.
No, actually, I was pointing to you.
Okay.
Has there been any consideration over the years back in
Hold it to your mouth.
Thank you. The consideration of whether it was the Wednesday night dances, the Saturday night dances that used to be held outside the union, the folks in the neighborhood would always be cranky when it would get late. Where are those types of events being held since this is in the neighborhood?
Great question. Well, these folks are excited to be a part of Antioch College. You know, they're hoping to eat in our dining halls and attend classes, and obviously some of them already come to the Wellness Center, so I don't anticipate that. They know moving in what they're getting into. It's also located sort of far enough away from the activity that I think, the campus activity.
I am a lifetime resident of this house, of this town, and something that I'm seeing in Mill Springs are privacy fences going up like crazy. I know this is a homeowners association and they'll have a say in what they want to do. Is this something that is happening nationwide, Kevin? Are people cornering off their yards?
I don't know, but I've seen the same thing, even on my street.
It's crazy that way.
Yeah. Yes, there would definitely be something about that in the HOA.
For those of us who came in late, where is this located?
On the corner, so diagonally out the door here, on the corner of Livermore and East North College.
I'm sorry, I'm another one who walked in late, but is this still in a plan, or is it something that's really gonna happen?
That's a good question. Well, we have 8 deposits, so we're hoping it's really going to happen. And it's about, at this point, about us finding a co-developer to really make it happen.
So you don't have a construction start date yet?
We are hoping to break ground before winter.
For real?
Yes.
Yeah, so we want to break ground before the frost sets in, because if the frost sets in, you have, of course, a problem with cement, right? So the deal is the middle of October. That's what we're driving for. Want to make this real.
So we live in a small condo in California, and we have a privacy fence. It's very common in the West Coast, by the way, in the western United States. And in that space, we have a garden, which I'm active in keeping it up. Is there going to be a garden space? Is there going to be some, either a community garden or anything like that that can be privately or communally attended?
Yeah, what you see, the plaza there in the middle, that green space, that's just wide open for possibility as far as flower, vegetable, hardscaping.
Yeah. Well, I'd say gardens aren't always the most appealing.
Yeah.
But,
and I will say the deer are pretty vicious around here, so that might be one of the reasons why we're seeing these tall fences.
Right.
So I just wanted to go back to a few generations of questions and then also come back to this idea of how we knit this what I call the pilot of the pilot into a larger vision for community here at the college, but also in a very porous way, in an integrated way with the village of Yellow Springs. So someone had asked, how is this really beneficial to the college in terms of revenue or in terms of helping the college? financially. And I think you have to look beyond 8 units and what we're going to be able to generate from a land lease, even over time. That's not what if this was a one-off project that we didn't see as something that actually can inspire and help us bridge to the larger vision that we have for a multi-generational community that's supportive, that has educational connections to the college and to the wider Yellow Springs village, we probably wouldn't do this. You know, we've got 2 very talented people here and a trustee who are putting time into making this move, and there may be other projects that we would put them on. But the potential is to actually create something that's singular, if not completely unique in American higher education, very different because of where it's happening and who we are and the larger values that we have. So if this is a bridge to then 32 more units, and that is a bridge to even more units that actually aren't just sort of taking up space, but are creating synergies for the college, you know, we see that as a really a great thing for us to be investing our time in. On the other side of this, we have what some people would say are a lot of underperforming assets. Now, if the college was up and running and we were using all of the buildings and all of the things that we have here already, we might not be thinking about this, but we're not. And the fact that we have to take care of 100 acres, not counting the Glen Helen, and a lot of buildings that we don't even if we could get them up and running, we had the money to do that, we don't need them at this moment, means that our bandwidth is being sucked up by taking care of resources that we don't need at this point. Others can use those resources, so rather than us just banking them and sitting on them for 50 or 100 years, our idea is to bring them into play and to bring them in as assets that can build community. That's the bigger picture for us. Then I wanted just to go back and finally say that this notion of intentional community is not just those 2 words, but we have a fairly developed idea, and I'm looking forward to talking to you about this tomorrow at the State of the College, of what that looks like in terms of an Antioch education, an Antioch community, and a collaboration with the Yellow Springs. And it has 5 elements to it. One of them is environmental sustainability. This project fits right into that sweet spot. But the others also, I think, are supported by this project. Deliberative democracy, diversity, and social justice is another area of practice that fits with our core commitments. And the integration of this community and the Antioch College Village as it grows into a wider community, including the practice of governance in that community, is what we're looking to do. And to make sure that that's not just built on the people that can afford to come and live in these houses. The notion of human creativity and story, that communities are a product or a sum of the stories that their individual members can tell. And that begins to bring a much richer fabric to a learning community like Antioch College than we would have if we didn't incorporate that as a practice. We have creative resources all across the college that members of this village and the co-housing project could participate in. That's the 3rd area, creativity and story. The 4th area is we're calling well-being. And we have a world-class fitness center. We have faculty and staff who specialize in helping to bring a more comprehensive approach to life. Wisdom will reside in these cottages. We're pretty sure of that, to the extent that most of the people that will be moving in will have already had life experience. That can contribute to this notion of how to live a full and balanced life. And the 5th area is around the notion of work and resilient community, and that's represented by our cooperative education program. Each of the other things that I mentioned, they're all anchored by an existing resource center that people can get involved in. The Coretta Scott King Center is a platform for democracy and social justice and diversity. The Wellness Center I mentioned about well-being. WISO is an incredible resource for creativity and story. And we have our cooperative education program. So we have a vision for how this works. It's not just a one-off 8-cottage unit, as beautiful as we think this is going to be. If it didn't go any farther because we couldn't, develop the additional resources, then think of it as an experiment. This college is nothing if it hasn't been a place for experimentation. So I'm really excited, and I'm excited that you have so many good questions, and we don't have we have a long waiting list for these 8 units. So we're about ready to put the other 32 units up for deposits. I'm just kidding, but if all of you signed up, we could get that done pretty quickly.
Thank you, Tom, for tying that all together. And I think we want to show the video one more time. It's just a minute and a half for those of you who came in late. And if we could have someone do the lights. Thank you. Have one Antioch couple, Roger and Kathy have. I didn't mention Kathy earlier, but I mentioned Roger, who is in the mix, and we're happy to have them. Anything, Roger or Pat, that you want to say?
I think it's going to be a very great opportunity to continue the collaboration with the college.
Is that
It's good stuff.
microphone actually working? I can't hear
It
it.
doesn't seem to be working.
I'm saying that, is it working now?
No.
Closer?
Yeah, Roger, speak louder.
Speak louder?
Yeah, speak
I'm saying it's a great opportunity to continue collaborating with the college. I've been involved with work project and come down here. I think it's wonderful.
Welcome to town.
I have a question, since if any
Wait,
Wait,
just a second. You gotta eat the microphone for it to work.
Yeah, just a second, we want to hear from Pat,
This goes into the video
one of
feed,
our
so there's a
fearless,
very important thing for using the mic.
one of our fearless leaders here.
One of the important things to me in the Pocket neighborhood is the environmental sustainability. And one of the things that's going to be optional, but something very important is for us to work toward both zero energy, so that solar is an option along with all of the passive type and good windows and so on. And the second is having a cellar where we will be able to do, hopefully, composting toilets, gray water system, taking our water from the showers and the laundry out into the green space, and a water filtration system where we will be able to take water from the roof, rainwater, and change it into potable water. These are going to be difficult things to do, and I've been working on getting the rules and regulations from Greene County and from Ohio so that we can incorporate it into at least a couple of the homes. And I think this will be very important because it will give an opportunity for the college to show Ohio, the village, but Ohio in general, and the world, what we can do to make climate change factors. And so that, to me, is most exciting.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Roger.
You had a question?
Yes. Hi, I got here late as well, and my question is, since it's Antioch College, and we all know what's going on with its finances, I understand about your plans of breaking ground, and are you permitted, and how much? Did you go over that? I don't know if I missed it, but are you permitted, and the idea?
We did, but I can answer those questions quickly. So the price range we're working with now is $190,000 to $240,000. The architect is now preparing construction drawings. Once those are done, those will go out to bid, and we'll be able to get a firm price because we'll have it from contractors. We won't be getting permits until we have a contractor, and so once it goes out to bid, we'll select a contractor. We're in the zoning process now. We'll be presenting this to the zoning board in August. In terms of revenue, the revenue will be from 3 streams: from a ground lease payment, from resale certificate, or resale appreciation.
I'm sorry, what do you mean by revenue? I'm confused.
The money that will come to the college. So the question is, how can the college afford to do this? And the idea is that if we want to generate revenue, sometimes we have to put out some money to do it. And what Monica had said earlier is that the college doesn't have resources, so we will be looking for a co-developer once we put it out to bid, we'll be looking for a contractor who could also be a partner. And that's what they do all the time, is put up the seed money for that, so that's what we'll be looking for. But that will allow this development to make money for the college. The land will not be sold, there'll be ground lease payments. People will make those ground lease payments, that'll be revenue. When the homes are sold, we will get a modest profit from the homes. When they're resold, we'll participate in some of the appreciation in that value, and we will work out what that arrangement will be. So there'll be those 3 ways that the college will generate revenue. This is a pilot for a 34-unit development. So if we get it right with these 8, we'll be able to do it for those 34, and that'll be much larger revenue streams there.
Well, I agree with Roger. It sounds like, I don't think you'll have any problem finding people who live there at all.
Yeah, we're going to close now. Mila Cooper, the director of the Coretta Scott King Center, asked me to encourage you to attend a reception for Michael Higginbotham at 1:15. He's going to be speaking at 3 o'clock, but there's going to be a reception in the Coretta Scott King Center at 1:15 for him, so if you're interested in meeting him. And we have handouts for those who would like the schematics that we scrolled through. We have handouts here for those, and so thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for coming and asking such great questions. We appreciate it.